Hi, so the title for this show is Admissions. What's the point? And the reason I wrote that was because I'm getting very frustrated with the admissions process in my county, but in general. So yesterday, about 5,000, maybe more, I don't know the exact numbers, but a lot of children, a lot of 10-year-olds sat an exam called the Hertfordshire Consortium exam. And this exam basically gets children in a room who are petrified and gets them to regurgitate lots of sums, lots of antonyms, lots of synonyms, getting them to reorder sentences and then take out a word, etc., to measure their grammatical skills and to measure their intelligence in mathematics, or rather their intelligence in regurgitating sums in mathematics. What's the point of that? Because in my eyes, actually, that's only really measuring 2 points of intelligence. The first one is how well a child has been doing their math sums every day throughout the summer holidays, to waste their summer holidays, in order to get them to answer these questions really quickly, like quick multiplication, division, that type of thing. And the second thing it is measuring is how learned the children are in reading. So if your parents are fantastic and read you the classics and have lovely reading times, and that would be brilliant, but nobody really does that anymore, which is something I'd like to change. But at the moment it's just not happening. Unless your parents have a lot of time and can sit with you and read, it's not really happening. And in schools, actually, that doesn't really happen either, because teachers are stretched. So they're the two things that these tests measure your child on, and depending on how well your child can answer those questions will depend on if they get a place at a good school or not. So if we're thinking about that, your child may not be the best mathematician in the world, but they may be amazing at karate or art or gymnastics or drama, or write fantastic poetry, or play the piano beautifully, as one of my students does. But that's not what he's being measured on. He's being measured on 2 types of intelligence, very specific types, because according to Chem, which is the examining board, if you like, who writes these papers, they're the most important types of intelligence for something known as PISA. Now, PISA, for those of you that don't know, is a world-wide kind of league table that all countries, or most countries, put some children through to see in the world where their education system ranks. Traditionally, it's countries like China and Singapore and Finland that come top. We don't do so well, and neither does America, actually. But PISA only tests children on the ability to regurgitate math skills and vocabulary and things like that. So it's very confining. But according to economics, the PISA system, for every rank you go up, and if you're top, your economy is supposed to increase as well. So that's why a lot of education systems or governments, their main aim is to get children up to PISA level, because obviously it makes sense for them in a monetary form. But maybe it doesn't, maybe this is what they need to think about, maybe it doesn't actually add anything to the child's education by doing that, and we're not creating well-rounded children. If you look at some studies, the higher up the ranking of PISA, especially in countries like Singapore and China, the higher the rate of child and teen suicide rates. And we're aiming to get up there, apparently. That's not right, is it, really? So going back to the admissions, on a local level, the Hertfordshire Consortium tests measure these 2 things. As well as those 2 things, if you're a parent of a child who is 10 years old, just 10, you also need to think about getting the right tutor. Oh, and tutors, they milk the 11+. the Hertfordshire Consortium test. Some tutors I know, or have heard of, charge up to £80 an hour and even more just for this 11 plus exam. Parents pay it because they're scared that their children are not going to get into the exam. They're not going to get into the school, because of the results of the exam. As well as that, you have tutoring agencies who take a big portion of the money. So you have some very rich people playing off the negative feelings that these parents have about schools. As well as that, you have the builders who build around these grammar schools and around the best schools, because the house prices around these schools are astronomical, because the schools create a little catchment area around. One of the schools around here recently reduced their catchment area from like 1.5 miles or something to 800 metres around the school. 800 metres! So you can imagine when that happened, the schools, the houses within the 800 metres are just increasing in price. So it's not just about school admissions here, we're talking about a lot of different factors. And I read recently that an average, or people are paying up to £70,000 while their child's in year 5 just to get them ready and prepped for the 11 plus exam. The reason it's so much is because of the tutoring, because if they move house, which some people do, just move house just for this exam, and some people will actually downsize their property to get like a little flat or something just so that they're in the catchment area. But actually, they're only measuring the fact that these schools are good because of their GCSE results, which is what most people base a good school on. They don't necessarily look at how well-rounded the children are when they come out. They don't necessarily look at if they've got an amazing computer science aspect or dance linked to what their children actually is good at or what they like. So there's a lot wrong with the school admissions process here at the moment. And the question that I'd like to put to you is, if you are, or if you're going through this at the moment, or if you have gone through it, do you think it's right? And if you don't think it's right, first of all, why do you buy into it? Although I probably know the answer to that. And second of all, why, or how should it change? So they're the two questions that I'm just going to put to you right now. I'll speak to you next time. I'll see you next time. Bye.